Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Non Sequitur Nerds, where tonight we're going to prove that if it has RGB, it must be better. At least that's what they say. As always, though, I am Tim, joined by Ian. How you doing, buddy?
I don't know if I'm Ian or confused.
I don't
Either
know either.
way, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's we're wrapping up for me at least. One of the first kind of major back to work weeks. So, um, yeah, it's really kind of hitting back the swing of things. This week was just meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting
Oh,
after
those are the
meeting.
worst.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, you and I kind of live two different lives when it comes to work.
Yeah.
You
Me do
push.
grunt work.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to belittle what you do, but I mean, you push RVs around,
By
trailers,
hand.
by hand, and I have to sit there and listen to boring meetings all the time.
We can trade one of these days just for a day or two if you want.
Sure. And I'm pretty sure my boss would be fine with it.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to play it off as if you're no different than me. Just don't.
Just don't even acknowledge that I'm a different person.
Yes. Yeah, I think there was an episode of The Office where they did that. They had some Asian guy come in and pretend to be Jim.
Do you know who that Asian guy was?
I should, but I'm not actually a fan of The Office. I just know. Okay. I just remember seeing that clip. So.
I can't remember the actor's name, but in Ant-Man, he was the special agent that was the contact for Scott. Yeah. I can't remember that actor's name though, which is terrible because he's a good actor. He's a great comedic actor, but I can't remember. Right. You know me and actors, like I don't, unless they're like Bill Murray, I don't remember their names. So. Like, I mean, heck, most of the Marvel characters I refer to as their character. Right. I know who they are. It's just ADHD brain. I can't be bothered to remember names.
Right. What were we talking about again? Anyway,
I don't know.
Moving on. We're talking kind of accessories, peripherals, extra stuff that you get with computers, consoles, gaming systems, whatever it is that you might have. I mean, obviously, some folks just have a tower that sits near them, and they can be RGB, shiny, and fun. You can have laptops that are RGB. You just got that Alienware, right? Can you play around with the?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, I did just get a newer laptop. It was time to upgrade mine. I saw a really good deal on Cyber Monday. Couldn't pass it up. It had a 3070 in it, so I'm like, I'm paying as much for a laptop with it in as I would for a 3070 card by itself, which is saying something. But I mean, you mentioned cases. You've seen the case I have for my tower. It's like the box itself is just a standard white. It's got white LEDs and it doesn't, from one side, look, it just looks like a regular old computer case. The other side of it is actually a transparent monitor. If any of you are familiar with iBuyPower, they make what's called their snowblind cases, where it's a full monitor. It's designed that you can have like an image or moving pictures or whatnot on it, but it's see-through. It's actually really cool. They came out with it years ago. What it's neat. You don't really see things like that. They originally came out with it to where you had to buy the
computer case. It's got the moving pictures on it. We used to go back to the moving picture shows. You gotta pay a nickel to get in.
Well, it's great because if for whatever reason any of my monitors go out, I can literally just pick up my tower, put it on my desk, and still have a usable monitor. But like when it first came out, you had to buy the whole thing as a pre-built kit. You couldn't buy just the case. There were enough people that wanted just that case. They started selling a variation of it as a standalone. I'm like, cool. At the time, I was actually wanting to get a new computer case because the one I had I had used the same case for multiple different builds, and I'm like, I should probably finally upgrade this. I saw that case was out, and I'm like, cool. So, I mean, my case is a peripheral unto itself. Right. But beyond that, yeah, like Ian said, I mean, there's controllers, headsets, keyboards, mice. I mean, freaking controller add-ons for your phone. I mean, there's accessories upon accessories.
And let's preface this, guys.
Yes.
We're going to talk about things that we like. we're not getting paid by any of these companies. Like we're definitely,
You
as
say
much as
as
we
there's a
joke
Razer
about,
advertisement up on the screen. Yeah,
as much as we
this is not a sponsored
joke
episode.
about, yeah, as much as we joke about shilling for other people, this is just us talking about some of our favorite peripherals and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And the kind of the advent of this is Tim texted me yesterday. It's like, so what are we talking about this week? Well,
that's usually how our
my
Thursdays go. Is what are we
right,
talking about?
right. So to kind of start things off, like I this week I had, one of those desk mats before. It's actually sitting on my other desk over in the corner right now. And it was RGB and whatnot. And it was a smaller mat and it was nice. It was comfortable and whatnot, but it was like a cheap Amazon like Chinese knockoff one that I got for like 15 bucks or something like that.
I mean, it
And the
lasted me a
RGBs,
decent while.
yeah, I mean the RGB started going out on it. And so it was like, it wouldn't change colors anymore, and it was like stuck on blue, which is fine because blue's my favorite color.
There you
But
go.
like the blue was slowly dying in the mat,
Oh,
so like it was really bright on one end and then super dim on the other.
oh, that's never
Uh,
good.
so so I went and I got a Razer mat, an actual Razer mat. Now this one is it's their hybrid mat, so it's the soft. It's a softer mat, but it's still got kind of a semi-hard surface on it, which is nice for more precision gaming type stuff and those kind of things. Because I do play some shooters on my PC, so having a little bit of accuracy and precision was nice. But the thing's freaking huge. Like I didn't
Oh,
realize,
oh, is it
like
one of those like
it only
full
came in
desk
really
ones?
like almost
Oh,
like
wow.
it only comes in two sizes. It was like mouse pad or Goliath size, and I
I
didn't
said
want
their
just the mouse
Goliaths are
pad.
pretty big.
Yeah, I didn't want the mouse pad size, so I got the bigger one. So I had to like kind of shuffle some stuff on my desk to fit it. But it's very nice. Like it's very comfortable. Like I don't it doesn't it doesn't feel abrasive like if I have my hands on it or my arms on it. It's really nice. Like
There you go.
I'm definitely a fan of gaming mats or desk mats after I've had one for a while.
Right.
Because for a long time I wasn't using anything. Like I didn't even have a mouse pad. I just had the armrests on my lap on the keyboard and then the mouse just sitting on my desk. But decided I wanted to spruce it up a little
There you
bit.
go. And then there's
So
me with the, let's see, Razer speakers, Razer keyboard, Razer mouse pad, Razer backup microphone, which is what I was originally recording on before I got this newer headset, which is not Razer. It's Steel Series. I like it. But my desk is currently, if we're talking RGB, is currently in a quasi matrix design. By that I mean it's all green lights, but they kind of
oh,
fluctuate.
so you mean it was all hype and very disappointing.
Well, I mean the new Matrix movie was, but no, this is more like the actual Matrix code, how like the numbers and the symbols and
Yeah,
whatnot all
yeah.
jump around. My keyboard does that, and then the lights on the various other peripherals light up randomly to kind of mimic that. But it looks best on the keypad. But yeah, it's. I remember it was right around the time that I started college, shortly before then, when LEDs in computers, particularly in cases primarily, that's when that started being a big thing. I mean, I remember in college, I was roommates with our buddy Kevin, and his computer and my computer actually both had LEDs in them. And we would usually have our door open, mostly to let the stank out, um, in our dorm room. But anytime anybody would walk by, they'd look into their computers and go, "You guys must be computer guys. I got a question." And like we became like the unofficial IT of our dorm area because our computers had lights in them. So we must be computer guys.
Yeah, I
Neither
mean,
one of us were any kind of computer major.
yeah, I mean, the first computer that I ever bought was I actually bought it from a friend of mine, and it was just like a standard, compact
Yeah.
computer or whatever like that. But then after that, I built my own, and I got I want to say it was actually an iBuy Power case, and it had like
Hmm.
blue lights in it and whatnot.
There
And
you
I had
go.
that one for quite a while.
I think I remember that one. I think. Was that the one you had up
Yeah,
in your room?
yeah,
Then I think so. I think so.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we're
yeah.
talking 20 some years ago. Um,
Right. And then after that, I did another build. I upgraded that one, and that was a green. That was a more solid green case. I sold that one to a friend, and then uh, I think I might have actually no, I might have built a different one before that. So I think I've done three. custom builds now.
Yeah.
My parents actually have my second custom build.
Oh, do
I
they?
upgraded, yeah, I upgraded some of the stuff in it a few several. I mean, probably like I don't know, 10 years ago at this point. But I
Well, I
mean,
mean, well, I mean, for all that they do on it, I mean, that's still
yeah, it's like mess around on the internet, get on the internet, and my dad dicks around on the internet, then they do some word processing and whatnot. So
right.
they don't really, I mean, they don't use it as a gaming rig. So, but yeah, so I mean, they still have it. It still works.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, but
I still remember that there was one case that I had that, God, I think it was red and black, and I at one point like the front of the case looked very much like a Hong Kong knockoff Iron Man mask. So I
mm,
actually completely disassembled everything, took everything out, masked off certain areas for the case, and actually spray painted it red and gold to make it look like Iron Man. But it ended up looking more like a logo for our high school, which our high school's colors were red and gold.
yeah.
So and I had that for maybe a year, and then I'm like, you know what, screw it. So I painted the entire thing solid green and put a Green Lantern logo on the front of it, which didn't match the aesthetics for it at all. I had that case. I think I did two different builds in that one. Yeah, it was two different builds. Um, I mean that thing, like the case, it was cheap plastic to begin with, which does not hold up to age at all. The hinges eventually, because the front of it you could actually open up, and that's where all your
Yep.
CD drive bays and everything would be. The hinges eventually just gave up on it. They were so thin, there was no way to repair it. So I ended up just pitching
I
that
just
case
assumed it
years
was going to
ago.
be another one of those scenarios that happens to pretty much everyone that has ever had a hinged case where you open it, forget about it, and then turn and catch your knee or your chair on it and just rip the front door right off of it.
Right. No, this is literally I open it one day and it just went. Like the top, yeah.
It opened further than it was supposed
Yes,
to.
yes, exactly. But
It's like the
I
scene from Tommy Boy where he busts the hinge on the car and then Richard comes over and opens it and then the whole door just falls off.
right.
Richard, what did you do?
I'm glad that like it seems like predominantly that folding door design has gone away. I'm glad like it was a neat idea. You could hide your drive bays and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I mean,
Yeah, but I
eh,
mean, what computers? I mean, you have to fight to find a computer, especially a gaming computer that has a drive bay in it,
yeah,
especially one that like extends a bay. Usually, it's kind of like the DVD slot on your gaming console. You just
yeah.
like, floop,
You load a
you
disc
you
in.
just kind of like, yeah, you just load the disc in and then you can pop it back out or something like that.
Well,
Like
I mean,
my
heck,
tower doesn't. I mean, my tower doesn't have a see any kind of drive like
yeah.
external drive port on it.
Like
So.
I have for mine, I have an external drive. Um, but I mean, even that I use so rarely. It was more I wanted to have it on like the few times that I did want to use it, uh, like if I was importing music off of a CD onto my music library on my computer. That's primarily all I ever use it
ED?
for. Yeah, I know, CD. But I mean, for
Hmm.
like those few like rare albums that aren't on any streaming system,
Right.
it's nice. Like if I have the album and it's not available streaming, I can still like import it onto my iTunes library as an example and still
Yeah.
listen to it that way. And that way I have that digital backup of it. Like a lot of my anime soundtrack albums before they got as big as they are now, you
Dang
can't.
it.
Yeah, you can't find on any streaming services. Like the original Hellsing soundtrack, you can't find that, and I own both soundtracks to the original
Right.
series. So like I have digital backups of those because I know those CDs aren't going to last forever. So
Right.
I mean the one like I'm surprised it copied without having the audio skipping because it got really scratched up somehow. Probably in one of the times I moved. But going back to accessories though, moving away from cases a bit. I mean even monitors at this point are, I mean they are by definition a peripheral, but I mean it used to be, you got those giant CRT monitors. Like if you had a 14-inch monitor, that was huge, and now it's like you've got what is it, a 32-inch ultra wide curved monitor, I think. Is it curved?
No,
Okay.
no. Let me correct you. I have a 34-inch
Oh,
ultra wide curved 4K monitor.
well, leave it to a man to argue that
Of
extra 2 inches.
those. I have two of those. So I have like 160 degrees of monitors.
Jesus. And
Like I'm not even kidding. Like you can see my arms right now. Like they're literally touching the ends the edges of both of my monitors. So
see, and then there's me. Like, I tried the whole curved monitor thing. I mean, while it's cool, it's not for me personally. I have just two of the same monitor put side by side, which is why any of you watching the video will sometimes see me looking off to the side. Is because I have my recording software on one and our actual Discord call on the other. And even though it's the same images of us, ADHD is like, ooh, I'm in two places. Um,
it's Tim in
I mean,
stereo.
exactly. But I mean, yeah, like I said, like I was saying, if you had a 14-inch monitor back in the day, that was big, and now I mean, you've got insanely huge desktop monitors. I mean, there's ones ultra wide that are even wider than the ones Ian has. Like the refresh rates on them are getting insane. Like the ones I have are 144 hertz. My Alienware is like 200 and something, which there's not a whole lot that does that game wise. At least not that I play anyway. But it's there.
Right. So, as an example of this, I'm an Alienware fan. I had an Alienware laptop. I
Yep.
have an Alienware tower right now.
Mhm.
Alienware has a 55-inch OLED gaming
God.
monitor that you can buy for 2,500
I was
bucks
gonna
right now.
say, how many grands is it?
It's
two and
actually it's
two
tw-
and a half
it's
of them.
it's 2,500 bucks, but that's actually on sale. It's actually on sale right now for 38% off. It is originally MSRP for a little over 4,000.
I was gonna say who's the market for that, but I know exactly who the market for that is. People with
Yeah,
more disposable income than us.
yes. Actually, speaking
Jesus.
of a guy that I know, hey Skoog, he has he has one of those 55-inch monitors.
Well, okay.
He's
What's
single.
the refresh rate on it? Out of curiosity,
Let me pull up the spec sheet. Let
I
me
gotta
let me
see this because
see.
all right, because it's 55 inches, it's big. I want to know the resolution and I want to know the refresh rate on it.
Resolution's 4K,
Okay,
4K
okay,
UHD, so it's
okay.
it's 2160.
That's a good chunk of the price right there. Because like four K TVs,
It's got 120 hertz.
I figured it would be higher than that for
See.
that price tag. I mean,
Well, the problem is when you get something that big, though. I
yeah,
mean,
that's true.
this monitor itself has actually been out for a few years, so
Okay, okay.
it's probably we're probably not going to see anything better for a little
A
while.
while, yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, it's
and 120 hertz isn't bad. It's like for a refresh rate, that's not bad at all. Um, but I
yeah.
mean,
I
like,
want to say my main one, which is a Dell gaming monitor, is 144,
yeah,
and then the other one that I have, which I actually got through work and through testing it, it's just um, I think that's just a standard 60.
okay. Well, I
So,
mean,
but that's just like my spare monitor. So it's just like
like
this one is my primary.
it's interesting. A 55-inch screen, 4K, 4 grand. I bought a 70-inch 4K TV for a couple $100, and it's a name brand. It's interesting to me how like gaming monitors, because they have that word gaming in front of them, that immediately inflates the price. Like,
Yeah, it does. And then there's usually something else
but
about them that has
it's they know
something.
who they're marketing to though. They market it as a gamer product. Well, like okay, case in point, and not knocking it in case they ever want to sponsor us, G Fuel. It's marketed as a gamer energy drink. And like
Which I have
if you
never drank.
well, I tried they had a partnership with I don't remember what gum company it was, but they made like G Fuel gum
Yeah,
by insert bubblegum company name here. They had it at GameStop, and I'm like, you know what? I could use a pack of gum. I looked at it and like I could have bought like 4 or 5 12 packs of double mint from the dollar store and paid less than I did for one. I think it was a 10 pieces of gum, not a 10
right.
packs of gum. And like admittedly, it tasted pretty good. It was actually pretty good gum. The flavor lasted a while. Um, they had different flavors. Like this one, because of like the supplements in it, was for focus. And admittedly, I don't know if it was a placebo effect or if it actually did help. Admittedly, like when if I was chewing a piece and working on something, I would stay focused on it, which is, ADHD brain saying something. But again, I don't know
Right.
if it's a placebo effect. I did try Razer's brand of gamer energy drinks. So it was powder, you mix it with water. Flavor wise, those were really good. I didn't notice, a significant performance increase, but I did find
It's your
myself,
wife.
but I did notice that I was hydrated. Um, I was drinking water with flavor in it, but
Right.
but no, it's again, it's if you look at like a gamer energy drink versus just an energy drink, they're both over expensive drinks. But if it has that gamer in front of it, they're typically, two if maybe $3 more than another energy drink of the exact same size. And same thing, you could go out and buy a 55-inch 4K TV with 120 hertz refresh rate for well under $4,000. But
Yeah, I think some of the difference
yeah,
being though is that a lot of
it's
those.
Razer. It's an established brand though, so I mean that's
Well,
you're
yeah,
paying for the
yeah.
name
What
is the big thing.
Right, but what I was going to say is like a lot of those TVs when they don't jive well with computers and stuff like that.
Yep,
They for some reason they get reduced, they get reduced refresh rates or
yep,
things like that, or they just like the Alienware monitor, like this 55-inch, they tout having AMD's FreeSync or G-Sync with it,
yep.
having some kind of onboard processing to help with a lot of that stuff.
So I mean,
And
you're
obviously
paying
things
for that
like
extra. It's a dedicated peripheral instead of a
yeah,
generalized peripheral. It's like a
yeah,
TV, you can hook up a game. You can hook up a PC or a game system to it, or a Blu-ray player, or a streaming box, or heck, some handhelds now. You can hook up and play it that way. So it's more generalized. Now, granted, like our gaming monitors that you and I have, because of the ports that are on them, you can hook up pretty much all those same devices, but they're designed for one kind of device in mind, which I guess that is kind of where the extra cost comes in, because it's specific, it's designed specifically for a thing instead of generalized. Um,
right,
but yeah, it's just that's one thing that's always fascinated me is if you put the word like you know office chairs. If you go buy an office chair, they're cheap. If you go buy a gaming office chair, they're astronomical sometimes. I mean, Secret Labs, which they make fantastic chairs. Um, I would love to be able to justify spending that amount on a chair, but like you can find office chairs that again are similar in construction, maybe not quite as comfy, but if you look at the price sticker, for some people that's going to be the difference of, well, do I want to spend that extra on that particular name brand, or do I want to go and get something like my quote unquote gamer chair is some off brand, like I've never even heard of them before, but you know what, this thing is really comfy and it reclines, like when it reclines it's the perfect angle. um
yeah. I mean, I've got a one of those gaming chairs as well. I
yeah,
got mine from Staples on sale.
that's where I got mine actually. Yeah, I told you about that. That's where I got mine too. So,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I got mine from Staples. I got it for on sale. And I like it.
yeah,
I had been using a chair that was probably like 10 years old, so
right.
it pretty much had zero padding in it from being sat on for so long
Right.
by my fat ass. So, I mean, so yeah. I mean, I got the new chair. I'd like to get a Secret Labs chair, but they're
Yeah.
just so stupidly expensive.
Yeah, I mean they're
Um,
they're good. I mean everybody that I've talked to that either owns one or sat on one said no, they are really comfy. And like
right.
for me, like I mean there's some of those gamer chairs like built-in subwoofer, auxiliary inputs for audio, USB charge. Like I just want my ass to be comfy when I'm sitting down for a couple hours playing a game. I mean, I could like that being said though, I am envious of my wife's computer chair. I got it for was it her birthday, Valentine's Day? I got it for something last year. And like
Okay.
cuz she said she needed the new chair cuz the office chair she had was an older office chair, had like no padding in it. She could maybe sit in it an hour before she's like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm done." So I'm like, okay, you pick out a chair and I'll get it for you for our insert event here. And she picked one out. It had really good reviews on Amazon. It was the same thing. It was a no-name brand one. But like hers has a frickin' it can like recline back as far as a recliner can, and has a pop out frickin' leg rest pad on it. So you can like full on sleep in this chair. And like I sat in hers and I'm like, this is comfier than mine. And like her her entire desk, from her desktop down to her mouse and keyboard, all of it
Right.
is pink. Guess what color the chair is? Pink. Well, pink and white technically, but
Right.
that is a really comfy chair she's got. Like, if I ever, years down the road, ever, retire Old Faithful here, I may look and see what brand that was and see if they make other colors and get one of those, so I can fall asleep in my office like God intended. Um,
Right.
but no, it's like we started off talking, keyboards, mice, controllers, and we've gotten into office equipment. Like even like there's even gamer desks. I mean, as some of those of you watching the video, some of the pictures we have up here, there are licensed like peripheral make like Razer, I believe, makes a desk now. Secret Labs, I think, makes desks too. I mean, there's countless other brands that you throw RGBs on a product, you can call it gamer and mark it up 60%.
Right.
Um, like I have a it's a very minimalistic desk. My desktop, like I said, is white with some black highlights on it. My peripherals are all black. My desk is all white, but it's a simple L desk. It's got on the side over here it has an elevated. Technically, I'm supposed to have my monitor on this elevated platform over to my side here, but that's this little side area. That's where I build my Gundams at, so I can still be at my desk. So I
Right.
can have like music playing or video going. Turn over to the side here, build some Gundams, call it good. Um, but I mean, like some of the quote unquote gamer desks I've seen. I don't know if you've ever looked at them. Like, it's nuts. I mean, there's ones that you can get that are custom built that are a thicker top, but it's recessed with like
Giggity.
all glass top. And your PC is the parts are just sitting openly connected in your desk. So your desk
Yep.
itself
Is the
is the
PC.
PC case. Which,
Yep.
like, admittedly, like I like that design. I like there's an art book that came out, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but pretty much every major game system that has came out up until last year, their art book is each page is a full teardown down to the screws of various game consoles. And like it's done in a way that it looks like a piece you would see in an art gallery. But like I want to find the name of it because I'd love to get that as a nice little coffee table book. But I've always liked it that kind of deconstructed. I don't want to say blueprint look because it's the actual physical parts, but I mean you kind of get what the style I'm alluding to.
Right.
So like those desks that do that same thing where all the pieces are kind of laid out, connected with the cables, and all the cabling is freaking like I've seen people do really good cabling jobs on PCs. This was like immaculate. I don't know how they fastened it down on some of these because you can't see, like, apart from like the motherboard being screwed in to ground it, or various things like that. The wiring is all like immaculately like perfect angles at the bends. I mean, it's beautiful. But again, those things are a little overpriced. Like my desk, I think I paid $80 for it. But I mean, it's an Amazon brand desk, but that's not bad. I mean, it's very much so serving its purpose for me. I've got a wide area over here to have my two monitors, my and spacious desk layout. I've got an area over here to work on my other projects. It works.
Right.
Admittedly, have I thought about buying an LED strip and putting it underneath? Yeah, just because it'd be nice to see the power strip down there to see if something comes unplugged.
Right.
But
Yeah, I mean, RGB is definitely like the big gaming thing, right? Everything's got to be RGB. The cases are RGB. Admittedly, my keyboard is RGB, and my
yeah,
mouse does have it has a light on it that I can customize the color on, but I don't give a crap.
there you go. It's
I mean,
blue. You
it's a
like
mouse.
blue.
Right. I mean, okay. So admittedly, I did change that over to blue, but also like when my hand is on my mouse,
You don't see
you
it.
you you
Well, I mean,
can't see it.
like the
So
same thing with mine. Again, it's a Razer mouse. So it has the Razer logo on the back of it that lights up. When my hand's on it, the only light I see on my particular Razer mouse anyway is the RGB that's underneath the scroll wheel. So
yeah,
you don't see that. So like whenever I do my I do color changes sometimes. Like before I had just the stock like cycling rainbow colors. Um, where I did this matrix kind of setup, and like I'll still change my mouse to match that, just because I'm weird that way. But it's not something that like if I ever have to replace this mouse, I will probably get another Razer one just because this one has lasted me a couple years now. I really like it. It's lasting. It's holding up really well. Um, but it's not something like I have to have. So like if my choice was
Right.
either, a $200 Razer mouse with LEDs in it, or a $50 one that doesn't have the LEDs, I'm probably gonna go with the $50 one if those are my only two options.
Right.
But yeah, our RGBs are especially in the PC gaming area are kind of synonymous with it being gamer stuff. I mean, you can look at countless streamers online where when they're playing, like you can see, little glints of their RGB stuff lighting up, or they'll have their camera angled so that you see their, immaculate RGB PC case setup. But then there's other people though who just like go with a super minimalistic look. Um,
Right.
you know, it's it's
Yeah.
it's it's really personal preference. I mean, and RGBs don't mean like you can find countless PC accessories that are phenomenal products that have no kind of lighting in them that are still, like I said, phenomenal products. But it seems like the ones that are shiny, they sell better.
Well, I mean, it's kind of that like that gamer aesthetic right now, right? Like that's the gamer thing.
But
You
yeah,
have the RGB, like, you know, that's how it's the glitz and the glam. It's the esports thing, right? Like
yeah,
everything's flashy and shiny, and people are using custom colored
yeah.
controllers and headsets and stuff like that. And we've mentioned several times Razer. They're obviously one of the biggest names in peripherals out
Yeah.
there. I mean, Razer's got everything except for a damn toaster.
Didn't they, like, as April Fools a couple years ago, say they were coming out with the Razer toaster that would burn
Oh,
the Razer
they've
logo
been
onto your toast?
I mean, people have been petitioning Razer for years to make a toaster, and I think they were actually like seriously looking into it. There was so much interest right before the pandemic. And
I
then the
think you're right,
pandemic hit,
actually.
and they were like, "We're gonna we're gonna focus on stuff that's gonna keep us in business, and then also make RGB face masks,
Which
which
you
I'm
still
still waiting
can't
to get
get.
mine."
Well, you mentioned that they just announced, like, you and I had talked about, a while back, the Razer Zephyr mask, and I had mentioned, I thought that in the early prototypes it had a microphone, and you looked it up like, no, there's no microphone, and this might have been off the air, but they announced, what was it, 2 weeks ago, the Razer Zephyr Pro, which they put the microphone back in, which you still can't get.
Right.
Like,
Well, I mean, Razer has their peripherals. I mean, wearable peripherals. They have a lot. They've got
yes,
the Zephyr. They just came out with a smartwatch.
really.
In yes, they did a collab with Fossil.
Oh, okay.
So I actually my smartwatch that I have, it's a couple years old at this point. It is a Fossil smartwatch. It runs off Google's Wear OS.
I'll say,
So it's a little aged. It's a
well,
little aged.
Fossil
It has
makes
some
good watches, though. I mean, they're
yeah.
not, they're not, I'm not a watch guy, so I can't think of the brand names. They're not, the super ritzy thing, but I mean, they're good
Like a
watches.
Rolex or
Yeah,
something like
Rolex.
that.
They're
Yeah.
yeah, they're not a Rolex by any stretch,
Right.
but they're good watches.
Yeah. So Razer did that. They have the smart glasses, the Anzu smart glasses. They're
which
not like HUD
which still
LED,
like cracks me
heads
up.
up display, but they have like a Bluetooth and speaker.
Mhm.
They have a Bluetooth mic and a speaker in the ear arm, so like
Right.
you can like listen to music through this thing and whatnot, and you can actually get them with prescription lenses. So like
Okay,
you
that's
can
pretty cool,
just
actually.
yeah, you can just buy them, and then there's like a place that you can like they co-op with that you can just send them your prescription and they'll put in like your lenses into the
Okay,
things.
that's actually kind of cool. Well,
Yeah,
and similar to that, Bose makes their audio glasses, which when I first heard about those, I'm like, oh, that's going to be the biggest gimmick ever. I mean, it's going to sound horrible, or everybody's going to hear it. And then I was at Best Buy, and they had this was they may have brought them back, but pre-pandemic, they had a pair that you could pick up and try them out and actually wear them. The sound quality on them, I was genuinely surprised how good it sounded. And the way it works, it's not an actual speaker. It vibrates, but it vibrates the bone right behind your ear, which connects directly to your eardrum. So your eardrum is hearing those vibrations right next to it, and you're hearing it but it's not actually producing any sound, any music, and nobody around you can hear it. But the neat thing is, from where you're just picking up the vibration, you're not hearing sound. People can still talk to you without you going, hang on, what, or hitting pause or anything like that. It was really neat.
Right.
Like I thought about picking up a pair of those to wear at work because at work I typically wear my AirPod. I wear one AirPod, so I have another ear free. But I still, as noisy as it is in there, constantly hear, have myself pulling it, pulling it out of my ear so I can hear better. But it's like those are pretty pricey.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to wear those in a factory. Like even my AirPods were like $100 when I bought them. But they're to the point now where the microphone doesn't work on either one, just because all the dirt, debris, metal shavings, and everything that comes along with working in an RV factory. I try to keep them clean as best I can, but that stuff just gets in there. The microphone doesn't work in either one. Battery still holds up, and I use them pretty much my entire work shift every day, which is nice. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, going back to Razer, I mean, they pretty much make everything at this point. I know that they are catching a little bit of flack right now because when they, going back to the Zephyr, when they first announced that, they advertised the filters as being N95 grade. And I'm sure you've seen this on the news, and a lot of our listeners probably have as well. On their website and any listings for it, they removed all references to it being an N95 mask or N95 comparable mask because it's not. It is
Right.
a new evidence, new studies, or whatever have you have came out and have shown that it's not really any more effective at blocking uh, any kind of bacteria, viruses, stuff like that than a cloth mask is. Now, I mean that being said, though, like if you're like a place I work, if you're at a factory, it'll filter big particles like dust, wood chips, wood shavings, whatever have you, stuff like that. It'll filter those out because they're big enough, but it's not really anywhere close to medical grade. So I mean, I know Razer is catching a little bit of flack about that. That isn't deterring me from wanting to get a Zephyr, just because I still think it looks cool. It'd be a neat little
Right.
piece of kind of cyberpunk tech looking thing to have. And it's kind of even with everything that's going on, it's kind of an iconic image of the time we live in right now. I mean,
Right.
it's an amazing world we live in where protective gear is you know is really telling of
Yeah,
the
I mean,
time we live in.
who would have known, a few years ago that the fashion sense of today would be Immortan Joe chic.
I mean,
Uh,
it's weird. It's like we're living in some kind of end of days scenario. Are we in the
right.
darkest timeline, Ian?
Uh, well, anyway, moving on.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, depressing notes later. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like we said, Razer's got quite a lot of
Yeah.
peripherals that are
And
out there as
and they are
well.
the biggest name
I've
out
got a
there.
Razer keyboard. I think you've got a Razer keyboard, right?
Yes, sir.
I don't I actually don't remember what the brand of it is, but mine has like a magnetic removable armrest, so
Hey,
it just like it magnetizes to the keyboard. So
you may actually have the same one that the wife does. Mine does not have a palm rest on it. Um, because at the time, the one that I wanted, I don't even remember why, but I had to have a 9-digit numerical pad for it. The one
yeah,
I wanted did not come with a palm rest option. Like, and then of course after I bought it, they came out with like 10 different ones that all have the keypad and the thumb or the palm rest. So, but like again, it works perfectly fine. There's no damage to it. I keep my keyboard and mouse clean, so there's
hmm
no need to replace it. But if heaven forbid, it shorts out or anything, I've got a lot of options. So
right. For me, and to go with that, like obviously mice and whatnot. I've got a wireless mouse, and years ago, people used to give wireless gamers especially like, oh, wireless mice, you
yeah,
get that input lag, and maybe, and nowadays, like the
it's
input lag on
so
wireless mice
negligible.
is so yeah, it's so minimal. And this one is a more gaming geared mouse. It's a Logitech
Yeah,
G502 Lightspeed. It's a rechargeable mouse, so like it doesn't have external batteries in it, so
yep,
I don't have to worry about it like generally dying
right.
in the middle of a gaming sesh. But the charging ports directly in front of it. So I can actually take the wireless receiver off the USB cord, because it has a little adapter
Hmm.
that it's a micro USB cord and it's got
There
an
you go.
adapter, and you plug the adapter in, and then it's the wireless receiver. I can take that adapter off and it's just micro USB, and I can plug it directly into my mouse, and I can charge it while I'm using it.
There you go.
And it holds about a 40-hour worth of charge.
That's not
So
bad. Well, I know, I we
yeah,
keep
I
we
mean,
keep we keep going. Good.
as compared to the Apple mouse, which I use a Mac for work, and I have an Apple mouse that sits here. Whereas the Apple mouse charging port is on the bloody bottom
So
of
you
the.
can't use it while it's charging.
Correct.
Yep.
This is where the charging port is, on the bottom of the damnable mouse. What the hell good is that going to do anybody?
It's designed to make you buy a second one.
Correct.
That's
That is
that's
legit.
what
But
it is. Yeah.
we're not gonna get into our Apple hate here. We'll save that for another episode.
You say to the
Um,
guy who owns an iPhone, AirPods, an Apple Watch, an iPad. But I don't think I would ever own a Mac as a main computer, just not because of any kind of hatred towards them. I mean, they are, price aside, they are really good, you know, computers. But primarily what they're for, I would not use any of those features. I
yeah,
mean, the features I use are the features that are on my phone, my watch, and my iPad.
yep.
But I know you mentioned rechargeable mice there. Again, we keep going back to Razer. Hopefully they get this episode and go, man, we should sponsor these guys. Um, but I know if I ever did upgrade my mouse, Razer makes multiple different wireless mice. They also make some of them that support induction charging. They also make mouse pads that have the induction charger built into them. So you literally, unless your induction charger mouse pad goes out, you will literally never run out of power because it's charging while it's sitting there on your mouse pad, which I think is
Right.
a really smart move I mean, because like Razer products, particularly like with their lighting, it's all integrated. Like I can set up, like using Razer software, I can set up the positioning of where all my Razer products are on my desk, and it knows like if I'm having lights scrolling across, it knows when to stop lighting up this one, when to light up this one, when to light up the next one, when to light up the next one. So Razer has always been about their products working together. So to see, taking that step further to instead of it being an aesthetic thing, a functional thing, and charging a mouse with the pad that it's going to be on anyway, that's a really good design choice as opposed to, an Apple mouse that has the charger on the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No. And there's other peripheral providers out there. I mean, Tim mentioned SteelSeries earlier.
Which
They
I will say, I
make
really love their audio equipment. Steel Series. I remember like that they started getting bigger when I was still at GameStop, and one of the guys I work with, he's I don't he doesn't compete anymore, but he was a semi-pro Halo player. Shout out to Cass if you ever hear this, but he was always big on Astros and Sennheisers, which I mean Sennheisers are pricey headsets.
German. What do you expect?
They sound phenomenal though, and they last. You buy one, you're set unless you physically break it.
Right.
But like SteelSeries is coming out as a major competitor. As far as headsets go, this is back when, and they're still big, but Turtle Beach was really making a name for themselves because they were making headsets for everything at an affordable price point. Which prior to that, you didn't see good quality, affordable headsets in the gaming space. So when SteelSeries came out and they were touting that they were just as good, if not better, at comparable prices to like some of the lower end Astros. I remember Cass was like, there's no way, and the managers actually ended up getting a free pair from SteelSeries. Like, hey, try it out yourselves. Here's one on us. If you like it, awesome. Tell people how much you like it. If you don't like it, it was free. Give it away.
Right.
And I tried them on and was genuinely surprised. Like the mic quality on it was really good. The incoming audio was really good. They were comfy, and that's kind of why I did have prior to this a Razer pair of headphones, but I wanted these because I'm like, you know what? It's because the cord went out on mine and it was hardwired into my other ones. I'm like, I want to get something wireless so I don't have to worry about that. started looking at reviews on these SteelSeries ones, and they said, especially if you've got a PlayStation 5, because technically these are marketed as a PS5 headset. But the wireless receiver is just a little USB-C dongle. So anything with USB-C, it'll work on my Switch, it'll work on my computer, it'll work on my laptop. Anything with USB-C on it, it'll work for. I primarily use it here on my computer, on my desktop, just because they are so incredibly comfy. They sit really good on my head. The sound quality is good on them. The mic pickup is good. The battery lasts forever on these things. Excuse me. And if need be, I can charge it while I'm still using it, and it will still keep transmitting the audio wirelessly. So you don't, and it's pretty much like the latency on it is unnoticeable.
Right.
Which and it used to be like wireless. Same thing with as you said with wireless mice. Wireless headsets used to have like you could tell like the audio was a little grainier. It lowered the quality so it would transmit quicker. But now it's like, I mean, you can find wireless headsets that support Dolby Atmos on them, and with no loss in quality or latency. It's
Yep.
great for us as, let's call it how it is, and as middle-aged gamers. It's great to see the
What?
technology.
Hey,
Get off our
hey,
lawn.
hey, speak
Um,
up!
I have to speak up. I'm not wearing pants. I'm the one that said it this time. But it's nice to see the technologies that made us get immersed more into gaming, evolving
Mhm.
and growing. Um, it's nice to see that there is still some progression. I mean, every time we talk, like technology is kind of at its peak right now, nothing's going to change. Every time we say that, it's, well, hey, here's a new advancement. We discovered a new way to transmit audio directly into your ear without wearing anything. It's called
Right.
radiation. Um, but it's it is always nice to see this kind of stuff still continue to make advances and not just be the same product every year in a different case. I love
Right.
iPhones, but that's what they do. Um, so I mean, it is nice to see that it continues to grow. I mean, heck, case in point, I think it was less than a month after I bought these, they had their version twos, which they actually changed the padding slightly. I think these are comfy. I like if they make a comfier version, holy crap! But they changed the charging port to a USB-C because they're like, we included the USB-C wireless adapter. Why didn't we just make the whole thing USB-C? It's the same speakers though, so you're not getting any different audio quality, but they enhanced the battery on it, which again, it's one of those things of the battery on these lasts perfectly fine. Like I was like, oh, that
Right.
that that sucks, and then I started thinking about it. Like the only thing I'm really gaining is slightly comfier ears, but I'm not complaining about that, and a USB-C charging cable, which okay, that because most of my devices anymore are USB-C. It's universal. But it's like I'm not going to go out and buy another of pretty much the same headset for convenience sake. I just keep the charging cable for these just plugged right in on the front of my computer, so I can just plug it in, set it on my desk when I'm done for the night. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where peripherals go. I mean, because as far as what kinds of peripherals, I don't think you're going to see as many new things come out, but you're going to see refined versions of what we already have. I mean, until gaming as a whole really starts changing broadly, you're not going to see much more. I mean, I know that we didn't even really touch on VR and AR peripherals. We could do a whole episode just on that. But until you start seeing that becoming the norm instead of a plus one to what we currently have, I don't think you're going to see
Right.
peripherals change or new peripherals come out, but you're going to see the ones we have currently kind of evolving, keeping up with the times, design wise, feature wise. But you're not going to see any a whole lot anyway of brand new ideas, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. The until we get some kind of new weird like disruptive technology when it comes to computers and
Yeah.
things like that, we're probably at the peak of where we're gonna be at. Once we start getting, hologram computers and completely boxless displays or whatever, where you just like project things a la Minority Report or something,
Right.
hollow displays where people are sitting there and like moving around and moving stuff with their hands and that
Yep.
kind of crap. Then yeah, we'll probably get some stuff. And there are some of those peripherals out there. There's Microsoft's HoloLens and
Yeah.
whatnot, which is some cool tech, but it requires a lot of other stuff to go with it.
And
And it,
it doesn't seem to be as widely used as like because I remember when they first announced HoloLens, that was going to be the next big thing in computing.
right.
I haven't heard like you mentioning it now is the first time I've heard HoloLens mentioned in probably 2 years.
I think
I
the
mean,
I think part of it HoloLens seems like it's now being marketed less towards gamers and more towards industry, which is the
yeah,
same thing that happened with Google Glass.
yep,
If you remember 10 years ago,
yep,
Google had their glass wearable thing that, it was like an AR
mhm,
headset. I mean, it was like glasses that had like an AR thing in it. And those they tried marketing those to consumers and the bottom
yeah,
really kind of fell out of it. Like
yeah.
they never came out of a closed beta for consumers. They were never sold to consumers. However, if you do some research into it, you'll find out that the HoloLens, or not HoloLens, Google Glass is actually very big in manufacturing and industry because people will go around and they can use they've programmed them to be able to see like displays about machinery and logistics and that kind of stuff. So they're very beneficial, and the same thing with Hololens. In point of fact, actually, if you go to the Hololens website,
Yeah.
they have a video it is just industry professionals, like you know people manufacturing and running cabling and stuff like that using Hololens. So
See, and that was when they put out that first like promo trailer for HoloLens. That like the gaming thing, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like they showed off Minecraft and they showed them, interacting and moving the blocks in a 3D space in front of them, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. But the thing that really like kind of sold me on the idea of the technology is they showed these whatever business team members all wearing it, and they were all looking at a 3D render of it was a dirt bike or a motorcycle or something like that. And you hear like the voiceover, but you see the people that they're talking, and one of the guys reaches into the hologram, pulls off a fender, changes the shape of it, puts it back on, and you see him, and all of them see that in real time. I'm like, that is what got me excited about the technology. Not being able to play Minecraft on my table or Minecraft on the bathroom floor when I'm doing my most important work. But being able to interact with multiple users in real time. That's what kind of got me sold on it. I'm kind of sad that it didn't come to mass market, but again, it's getting utilized for the thing that I was excited about on it. But you'd
yeah,
mentioned Google Glass, and I remember it was one of the conventions down your way that I went to. There was actually a closed beta tester there who had it, and literally all he was using it for was to take pictures of con goers. But I mean, it was all voice activated, so you'd be like, hey, can I get a picture of you? Like, oh, sure. And you're like, right, okay, Google, take a picture, and you'd hear his glasses, and like you couldn't really see. I mean, because the frickin' screen on it, is microscopic, but the way they had it positioned on your eye, it looked like it was pretty much your full vision on your right or left eye, whichever side it was mounted on. So I'm like,
right,
okay, neat, but I mean, it was for consumers, it was an underutilized piece of tech. But it
yeah,
would be nice to see, that kind of tech advance. And I know, like with some VR headsets, like the Oculus Quest line, they have hand tracking built into them now, and they do have, because of the cameras, they do have pass through. So you're starting to see some stuff that's kind of merging those two things together. Of okay, we can use the pass through, and it has hand tracking. You know, if inevitably an Oculus Quest 3 or the rumored Pro, whatever they end up calling it, I would like to see VR headsets adopt more AR sensibilities to them. Just because to me it seems like VR and AR would mesh really well together. And I know like there are some VR AR like laser tag arcades where you wear a wireless headset. They have the entire layout of the VR of the laser tag arena programmed in, but what you see through the goggles is a 3D overlay of some different fantasy world or sci-fi world or whatever have you. But if you go up and you touch, in your VR, you touch a wall, because of the motion tracking in it, it knows where the actual walls are, so you'll actually be feeling a wall. So I mean, it's you're already starting to see that more meshing there, but it's going to be interesting, once we start getting more leaps into that kind of technology, because you and I have said it before on multiple episodes, VR, AR, full dive as you call it, that's kind of the next to you and I anyway. That's kind of the next logical step in the next advancement of gaming. Because I mean, yes, you can have 8K graphics, you can have 16K graphics if you want, you can have ultra realistic looking games, but ultimately, if they're on a flat pane or in your case a curved pane, it's still going to be a 3D image outputted on a 2D output.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be around for whatever's next.
They're just going to beam it directly into your brain, microchip everyone.
Do you remember, and I think I mentioned it before, there was the ad that Sony put out for the PlayStation 10, and it was just a guy sitting there, and like you see him, like he's like foaming at the mouth, and it's, they beaming the PlayStation game directly into his brain. It's like,
Right.
the future is now, and like they did it as a joke. Um, but I think it's going to be a while before you get to that point.
Yeah, I would agree. But yeah, so I think we've probably exhausted our time for the night.
I think so.
We've talked quite a lot, actually, a little bit more than what we were probably expecting to
Right.
talk about peripherals. We didn't even cover, other things like
Right.
microphones, webcams, some of the other streaming stuff that we have. So there's definitely plenty of things out
Oh yeah.
there to use. So
Oh
and,
man.
and again, we have our particular likes and our particular dislikes. Just because we didn't mention, a provider or something like that here doesn't necessarily mean that we don't like them. It's just we don't currently subscribe to their equipment, so we
Yeah.
don't we don't really can't really venture much of an opinion. Corsair being an example, they make
Yeah.
keyboards, they make mice, they make a bunch of other stuff. I just don't own any Corsair equipment, so
Right.
um,
But there's people that swear by Corsair stuff,
yep,
particularly their components.
yes. Um, so again, we do not want to seem as though we're shilling here. We're not, unless Razer wants to kick me a check, go for it.
I'll just
But
take free peripherals. I mean, you don't even need to cut me a check. You've already got the stuff. Just send me a mouse keyboard in white so it matches my other stuff. Saying.
fair,
Just saying. If you're
yeah,
listening,
fair.
Razer, I love your products. I'd love it more
So
if it
anyway,
matched my desk.
I think that'll probably do it for us tonight.
I think so.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up for now. Thank you everyone for listening. And if you have any questions or want to know anything more about some of the stuff that we talked about tonight, feel free to leave comments, send us an email, send us a tweet, hit us up on social media, whatever you might want to do. And obviously, if you want to know what those presences are, so you can catch us on.
Good
You can catch
segue.
the videos of these of the podcasts on youtube.com/slash non sequitur nerds. And obviously our main podcast hosting site, anchor.fm, as a product of Spotify. They feed out, excuse me, to several
They
podcasting
speedily
sites.
feed.
Yes, they speedily feed out to several other podcasting consumable sites. Obviously, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and several others. You can catch us again on social media, twitch.tv/non sequitur nerds, twitter.com at non sequitur nerds, and facebook.com/non sequitur nerds. So, with that, I think that will do it for us for tonight.
I think so.
Uh, yeah, so thank you for joining us. We hope everyone is having a fantastic new year, and 2020
Hopefully it's
is
gone better than mine so far.
mine too, actually.
I got in a
You know,
car wreck today.
I need to start keeping a tally board for the number of times that I've been potentially exposed to COVID.
Dude, I was gonna say, like, yeah, like on a personal note, I know we never don't do these. It's been a rough year for both of us so far. Obviously I'm fine from the car wreck. Obviously he's not dead from the COVID. Um, yeah. So let's to all of
Sid,
to all of our listeners out there, we sincerely hope that your 2022s go great. If they are going bad so far like ours, we hope that they improve, and we hope that you have another happy and productive nerdy year.
yes. So thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So with that, take care. And as always, we are the Non Sequitur Nerds. I'm Ian, and
I'm Tim. Good night, everybody.
bye.